All right, party people, what is going on? Andre here checking in with another video. We're making some progress on the Viggen. It is a really crappy day out here today, so it's a great day to be inside, and that's where I have been all fucking day. Been getting all the details really cleaned up on this Viggen, so just want to run through some things if you're building one of these bad boys. Some numbers that I was having trouble finding, but was able to come up with through the process. Figured I'd share them. So I'm running forged internals, and those forged internals include forged rods. The standard rods on the Viggen end up being somewhere around 35 foot-pounds. When you're running forged internals, they want you at a little bit of a tighter, and actually what they really want is for you to use torque to yield versus just a generic foot-pound. But I found a couple of conversions and a few people on some forums that had experience with forged internals, and they were hitting around the 40 Mark II. And truthfully, I don't have the proper torque to yield or stretch tool that measures these ARP 2000 bolts. So I'm going by a generic foot-pound measurement, which is around 40. So if you have forged internals, I'd encourage you, number one, to check. But I'm running Wasner rods, and they ended up being around 40 foot-pounds using the ARP 2000 L19 studs. I think that's a 3/8 size. It's a 12-point. Yeah, I think that's on a couple of different rods. So I'm sure it's pretty common. So if you're doing that, it's 40 foot-pounds. Subframes, you've got 2 bolts in the front at 85 foot-pounds. You've got 2 bolts in the middle at 140 foot-pounds, and the rear one, I found different areas that were saying anywhere from 75 on the first stage, 75 foot-pounds to 81 foot-pounds on the first stage, then an additional 75 degrees. I ended up doing the 75 foot-pounds because that was also what I found in my Haynes manual on top of a few different Saab online programs. And then when I added the 75 degrees, I had on the passenger side around 135 foot-pounds, and then on the driver 133. So I figured they were really close, so everything was just fine. The top nut on the rear mount ends up being around 30 foot-pounds. Mine's poly, but I think it should be the same for the rubber. Lower control arms at 55, tie rod ends 44 foot-pounds. Axle nuts on the Viggen, specifically, they're the ones with the open collar. I'll show you. That's these guys here. It's got a groove. It's an open nut. Those go in a 2-stage torquing sequence at 125 foot-pounds with an additional 45 degrees after. They always recommend that you change them with new ones, but at almost 50, 60 bucks a pop, I tend to reuse mine a couple of times before, and I change them out, and honestly, I've never had any problems with those in the past. Oil pan, 16 foot-pounds. I went through absolute hell stripping another coil inside one of these on the end plate cover, or the timing cover, I should say. And I went through absolute hell trying to get that done, but I'm glad I did. I'm about to put the head on and the cometic gasket. So ARP head bolts, those are a 3-stage tightening sequence. Crank pulley's 130 foot-pounds. I just didn't write the head bolt tightening sequence because using the ARP studs, it's going to be different versus the stock numbers. So just figured I'd share some of these, some of the other things on the checklist that I've done already. I already changed out the axles on both sides, and I also replaced a crappy clamp. I actually went through a couple of aftermarket clamps. Even the ones that came in on the kit all ended up breaking when I was doing the outer CVs. I don't know why, but the outer CVs for some reason came with a pretty crappy material clamp. So I ended up getting another one from the old ones that I had and reusing it. So changed that out. And I also checked the oil pressure sensor on the back of the block. It was actually a little bit loose, maybe like a quarter or a third of a turn. Right now I'm about to change out the wastegate arm on the TD21 that I have here. It came with this 45-degree curved actuator arm. On the original version that was on this Viggen, it actually came with a straight arm, and I've played with this angle a few times and the orientation, and there's a slight tension on this arm. You really can't see it from here, but it's got this tension pushing in towards the turbo, and I just feel like under pressure it shouldn't have any fluctuation in direction as a standard at its resting space. It shouldn't have any pressure on it from the arm. So I found a straight version that I'm going to change out. So hopefully that'll help that, if that even was an issue. I just didn't like the way that it looked after a couple of adjustments. So I actually think I'm going to put that entire assembly in first once I change the arm versus throwing the head on first. But we'll see. The top of the deck came out pretty clean with just the light cloth run through, and I actually used a 2000 grit foam sand block. It's super light. I took a piece that was maybe the size of my finger, and I just sort of ran it through some of the tougher grime spots on the top of the deck, and came out really clean. So pretty excited with the way that this has been coming out so far. I am going to continue working on getting the head gasket on now, so stay tuned for that. I'm hoping that I can get this bad boy running in the next 24 to 48 hours. I guess more on that later, but everything else has been tightened up, clamped down, ran through all the bolts on the water pump, a couple of the banjos, changed out a few of the copper washers on them just to be safe. And yeah, coming out pretty good so far. Paint job on some of the engine bay pieces came out really clean. I did a whole section in here that was in the photos that I posted on YouTube, and that whole section over there. You can see it's a little bit darker than the factory fender here, but once the air filter's in there and the box is in there, you're really not going to be able to see very much, and it's a hell of a lot cleaner than what it was before, and overall it's coming along really nicely. So I'm excited for you guys to see the finished product. I'm just going to keep chipping away at it now, and hope you guys stay tuned. Ta-ta for now.